Hello, welcome to Xelo View. I'm Sylvia, and it's it's the 31st of December today, so it probably come out in the new year. So Happy New Year, everyone! Today I wanted to start about a series about my autism, but to start with, I wanted to talk about something that I realized the other day, which is that you have to pay it forward. So everyone knows that I've dealt with a lot of loss this last year, and so just before Christmas there was this dinner that was being organized for some of the people in my community, and one of the people that organized it had an emergency. A friend of hers lost her mother, so she had to go there without any warning, and I immediately jumped in and helped with keeping the community center open with another friend that was making soup. And it's not like, it's like part of it is I want to help because they help me. On the other part is that if I don't do this, it's also serving my self-interest because I was invited to that dinner. So if I don't do this, I don't get dinner. It's multi-purpose, as it were. But I think at that moment what mostly concerned me was that I wanted to pay it forward. And that is what I wanted to say about that. Another thing I realized is the other day I was listening to a song by Mika, C'est la vie, and it dawned on me that there was an American saying called, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So, life gave me lemons, pause, take a deep breath, c'est la vie, now let's make lemonade. You need to take, you need to, how do you say it? You need to pause and rethink. Take some time for yourself, and then you can make lemonade out of the lemons, so to speak. It's not that it's not that you are supposed to do that, but you can also fall apart completely. But to me, I've always been, I've been trying to think more positive. That's what I've learned. It doesn't work to think negatively. It only brings you down, and bringing yourself down doesn't help anyone, least of all yourself. and it just doesn't help. But I wanted to talk about my autism and my road to autism. First of all, I'm not a medical professional. I've studied biomedical science, but that isn't something that has got nothing to do with getting an autism diagnosis. I can only talk about my own perspective. And to speak with the wise words of Dr. Phil, I think, it's only a problem if it interferes with your life. And to me, it interferes with my life. Thus, I had a diagnosis. People with autism like order. I've never had much order in my household growing up. I didn't know when I was at the beginning of the day what I was going to eat. Not because my mom just never made plans until she was in the shops and looking for what to buy. So, and we lived in the countryside, so there were a lot of vegetables from our own garden and such. But, and it's also my sister's healthcare. My sister always came first. So when I wanted attention, I wanted attention for her, to her to get attention. And when I have her attention, my parents gave me attention as well. And it's a coping mechanism. I know that now. And I've known for a while. But I was always different. A little more naive, if you will. I went, and my parents noticed too, so I went to get evaluated, and they said back then they diagnosed me with somberness, which is a precursor to depression. But the thing was, I wasn't depressed. I just was highly masked and unable to show my authentic self. And they wanted to keep me there, but my mother said no, because she didn't like the way the people she saw there looked like they looked like they were in fear. So my mother didn't want me to go there. So she and Dad found another place to give me therapy. And I was there for about a year and a half without knowing my diagnosis. I only found it out much later. So I went through school, through university, and at a certain moment, in 2008, no, 2005 I had a burnout. I think it was an autistic burnout, but I don't know. But I'll talk more about that in a while. In 2008, let's say the burnout lasted from 2005 to 2008. In 2008, I got very ill. I almost died, and I got diagnosed with lupus. And one of the treatments for lupus, when you first get it, is that they put so much prednisolone in you. And prednisolone has some side effects. One of it is that it exaggerates, it magnifies your mood. So they told me like at 9 o'clock that I would get a roommate at 10 o'clock. I lost it. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the change. And because of that, they knew something was wrong. I wasn't normal. So I got referred to a social worker within the hospital, and she sent me through to the Centrum for Autism. And for the Centrum for Autism, I followed some courses. And so I ended up at Medin, which is an organization that deals with not so much autism as it is disabled people, like otherwise disabled people. And I lived with them for about 8-9 years, and it was there that I got the diagnosis of autism for real. And that was a great help. I've lived on my own for about 3 years now, and it's working great. But the thing is, my lupus and my autism cannot be separated. My autism controls my lupus. I have a form called neuropsychiatric lupus, because it's in my brain, but it's not in my brain. It's very paradoxical in that way. My neurological symptoms are purely rheumatological. As in, it's in the blood vessels of my brain. They swell through my lupus, and that presses on certain areas of the brain that give then the neurological symptoms. But I can turn it, my autism can turn it on. When I was first diagnosed, it was like, you have to wait 4 hours. I was in the hospital. It said, you have to wait, I think the wait was 4 hours. And I got shown into a room They asked, do you have a fever? I didn't have a fever. So my autism said, oh, you want a fever? There, you have a fever. I could switch it on. I just didn't know where to find the off switch. That was lost. And that is just, so that's one part. And then the second part I wanted to talk about was autistic burnout and skill regression. In this case, it cost me my BSc. I didn't understand the instructions. Like I remember once in my college, in my university career, I was like, I had a paper with instructions in front of me, but I couldn't understand them for the life of me. I really couldn't understand them. And even with my bachelor thesis, it was like, when I was in a room with the supervisor, I understood everything. Set one foot out of the office, go. And that is so frustrating. It also didn't help that I was already doing my master's in science communication and education, and I could translate the jargon into normal speech, but not the normal speech back into jargon. And of course, but the report needed to be in jargon, and I couldn't do that. Also, early on, when I was still in high school, someone said, no result is also a result. They should not have said that to me. Because that is has been one of my other downfalls in my academic career. Because I put in things that I shouldn't have put in there as results, where it should be like an addendum, what not to do. Like, what can you do better for a next subject, next trial? And that was so hard. But lately I've been trying to avoid having a breakdown, autistic burnout. I took a step back at work because it was too much considering the circumstances. As someone once said, leading sometimes means knowing when to delegate. This was the time to delegate. And as such, I've learned to be more aware of what my body needs and what my brain needs. Sometimes I get to it a little bit too late, but I hope I was there in time this time. And for my sister's passing, I didn't go to work for like 2 or 3 weeks, but I was at the community center helping out a bit, because I thought work is that has pressure. Community center that has less pressure. And I can leave whenever I want. It's closer to home. I can easier get home and retreat and find a safe place to come back to myself, get grounded. And it's just like I want to help people. It does not good to spend all day alone, because when you're all day alone, you get to wallow in your self-pity and stuff. It doesn't help to spend all day alone. And you need to talk to people about things like this, and that's what I did at the community center. The woman who runs it said, like, if you want to cry, ugly cry, I'll ugly cry with you. If you want to scream, I scream with you. Whatever. And that was what made me relax. I could be there and be myself. And that is what made me relax and be able to come there with relatively low expectations and the knowledge that I could go home when I wanted to. There are other things about my autism that I want to talk about, but that will have to wait till next year or the next time, because this will probably come out in the next year. But for now, Happy New Year, and may it be a better one than this. Please like, subscribe and ring the notification bell.